Whenever we are suspecting child abuse in a particular case or working as a medical legal officer, you come across a child at your OPD with a lot of bruising phenomena, and when you performed the radiological examination, the child abuse was confirmed. In these cases, basically, we are looking for the battered baby syndrome phenomena. Now, what happens here is basically, according to the definition, the battered baby syndrome occurs for the children that are less than 3 years, and this is basically the common group period that is involved in such a fatal child abuse. Because children who are older than that can basically report such an abuse, but children who are smaller than that age group, that is less than 3 years, it's basically in this age group the child cannot report a certain kind of an abuse. Whenever you're performing autopsy in such a case, one has to be very careful while distinguishing the non-accidental injury from the accidental injury. It's again very important that you basically discriminate these two type of injuries, because the life of even the innocent people, the parents, is at stake sometimes whenever you are basically labeling a particular case with a child abuse case, because the caregivers are involved for such an abuse, and that will prove to be quite sensitive in such a case. Autopsy features have to be noted for, first of all, a complete external examination is done, even the clothing of the child, even the appearance of the child. The neglect phenomena has to be looked for whenever you are performing an autopsy on such a child. And even before that, you will go to the crime scene and you will have a complete crime scene details of that area, of the nursery, of the home, of the environment. All of these are basically the additional factors that have to be looked for while writing down an autopsy for such a child. And after that, basically, the environment is observed in such cases, and then basically we look for the internal features that are going to point out towards the child abuse in a particular case. Basically in this section, the highlights, the crux of this section is the external examination carried out in cases of the child abuse, followed by the internal examination. What are the signs and symptoms? Obviously, it is going to be relating to the injuries that were present externally. And then sometimes there can be some hidden internal injuries as well, as there can be lacerations or even the fractures, hemoperitoneum, or the hematomas, hematosed intestines are found in a lot of cases. So basically the abdominal organs are looked for carefully whenever we are examining such a case of autopsy. Autopsy, first of all, visit the crime scene, as I've already mentioned, wherever possible, and you can go to the home and write down completely about the environment of the home, about the different furnitures that are present at the home, and where the baby was or where the child was before the death. What were the circumstances of the crime scene? That is again very important, and that has to be noted down very carefully in such a case. Examine the child in its original clothing. So one has to be quite particular when one is commenting upon the clothing of the child as well. The record appearances are noted down, and we have to basically have a documented autopsy report in such a case that has to be put forward and to advocate your case, whether it is a non-accidental injury or accidental injury. Autopsy in child abuse, it's basically you have to give inquiries about the resuscitation method, if it was implied, what kind of a resuscitation method was implied to, because even in this type of resuscitation method, there are sometimes the discoid bruises, or when we refer to them as the sixpenny bruises, they are basically due to the digital pressure, and that is basically the main method of the resuscitation in the infants or in the neonates. So the full post-mortem imaging or the radiological symptoms are noted down before the autopsy is carried out. Now, full physical measurements are taken. You have to note down the length of the child, that is from the crown to the heel, and all of the other circumferences are noted down. The head circumference on all of these features are noted down in the autopsy report. So basically, what are the physical features that we are going to look for whenever we are conducting an autopsy in a particular case of child abuse? There will be an external examination And of course, this external examination is going to include the examination of the body orifices. Whenever we are talking about the body orifices, basically we are referring to the external genital organs. That includes basically the female external genital organs as well as the male genital organs. The rectal examination is being carried out in detail, and we're going to basically take the swabs. The rectal swabs are taken and they are sent to the histopathologist if we are suspecting a case of a sexual child abuse. This examination will basically reveal the presence of the semen analysis, and that is basically going to point out that we are also suspecting a case of sexual child abuse in a particular case. As well as the oral cavity and the external auditory meatises. These are the other natural orifices that have to be looked for whenever we are considering a case of child abuse in a particular case. The interior of the mouth and the lips is observed. We are going to look for the signs of the bruising on the mouth as well as on the lips. And when we are done with the external examination, we are going to basically have an inner view of the inner side of the upper lip as well as the lower lip. And we are going to look for any torn frenulums, any gum damages. They are going to be looked for. Even the teeth have to be looked for. There can be a complete avulsion of the teeth as well as the loosening of the teeth is observed in a lot of cases due to the direct head injuries or due to the side blows with the walls, etc. So the autopsy in the child abuse is again quite evident in these cases. We have the we have to have the photographic record of all the injuries. Talking about the external examination, we'll have a complete review of the external examination of the body as well, of the body of the child, as well as if you visit the crime scene, you will have the sequential photography of the crime scene as well, including the crime scene itself as well as the environment of the home in which the child was kept. That is again very important. You have to focus and document upon and comment upon the environment of the home in which the child was kept. This is basically going to point out towards any sense of neglect. If it is pointed out, that is basically going to point out towards the sequential abuse that the child has been subjected to in a particular case. Then we can have the extensive dissection of the subcutaneous tissues as well. That is basically going to point out towards the fact that if there are some sort of underlying bruising phenomena, if there are some sort of hematomas formed, laceration of the liver, there can be the laceration of the kidneys, of the pancreas, and hemoperitoneum is sometimes observed in a lot of cases of child abuse. Incisions in the doubtful areas are given and the samplings are done. The brain, the urine, the blood samplings, they are sent to the histopathologist for further assays. Now, even the stomach contents, they are sent to the histopathologist for any signs of the poisoning or any signs of toxicological samples if they are sent, and if it is found that certain kind of drugs are found in a particular gastric contents sampling, that is basically going to indicate towards the poisoning phenomena even. So all of these is basically going to point out towards the foul play and the non-accidental injury in a particular case. Now, the inner aspects of the mouth are even observed in a particular case, and over here you can see that the frenulum is going to be looked for, and we have to look for the bruising phenomena as well. Hematomas can be found in a lot of cases, and then we can have jagged lacerations due to if there are peer pressures applied on the inner surfaces, on the soft portions of the lips, and they're rubbed against the teeth. That is going to give rise to this jagged phenomena, jagged lacerations. Then the teeth has to be looked for. We are going to look for the loosening of the teeth. There can be a complete avulsion of the teeth, and all of this is basically going to point out that trauma has occurred. Whether it is non-accidental or accidental in nature, it's going to basically be decided upon at the end of the autopsy. Now, full sampling of the blood, the urine samples are taken, and the stomach contents, they are emphasized upon. The liver is again sectioned and is sent to the histopathologist for a complete detailed review. Ocular fluids and even the cerebrospinal fluid is sent for if we are suspecting any kind of meningitis or any kind of poisonings even can be evidenced at this level. Skin samples for the fibroblast culture. They're again looked for in a particular case. And swabs for the microbial culture. So the swabs can be taken from the oral cavity, they can be taken from the rectal, the external auditory metastasis, all of them going to point out towards the evidence, more evidence, and basically finalizing the autopsy report in a child abuse case. Bite marks and swabs are even taken from the bite marks. That is going to basically point out towards the DNA of the suspect. And that is also going to be quite decisive in a particular case of child abuse. Now, moreover, the sequential photography that we were talking about, it's basically you get the photographs of the environment of the home, and then you can get the photographs of the injuries that occurred. It can be the burn injuries or any other bruises or the fracture phenomena that can occur in a particular case. Full internal dissection of all organs. So the routine organs that are usually sent to the histopathologist are the brain, it is the liver, it is the kidneys, and the heart is even sent to the histopathologist. So all of these are going to point out towards they are going to form the evidence upon which we are going to advocate whether it was a non-accidental injury or whether it was an accidental injury in nature. Brain examination is done in detail, and that is again going to point out towards any kind of foul play if you are suspecting in a particular case. Eye examination and orbital contents, they are looked for any signs of corneal damage, any signs of pupillary damage if it is observed in such cases. The vitreous humor, we can have blood in the vitreous humor, and then we can have retinal detachments. So all of these are going to point out towards a traumatized eye, and a complete examination is basically going to reveal abuse in a particular case. So in this section, basically, we summarized the autopsy report. How are we going to subject towards the autopsy report in a particular case of child abuse? And that is the end of this section. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.